people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with the very first video in the new Wreck It Wednesday series. This one, I'm using this lovely kit, and I have already done a full walkthrough of how I pulled this kit together. It was released Monday, so you can check back and see that for a really extensive overview of how I put this kit together. But I just wanted to put another one, a short one, on the beginning of this video for anyone who didn't watch that, just so you can see the kit. So what I did was pull together a bunch of papers, very old papers, 2014, 2013, using this paper specifically as my inspiration. You can see we've got a lot of gray and teal, pink, red, yellow, more teal. So this is going to be a beautiful color palette, and I'm very excited about it. Then we have the stamps I chose, which were both Ali Edwards stamps and a date stamp with some Catherine Pooler inks that match the collection. And then I have some embellishments that I pulled out. I have some Pink Fresh Studio stickers, some word strips, and some Cocoa Vanilla Studio More Than Words die cuts. And then I pulled in some doilies that will match some of the papers or the subjects that I have picked out. And then what was really cool was Dearly D, Diane, sent me a Happy Mail, I think at the beginning of this year, and it had a collection of goodies in it that is just perfect for this kit. So I pulled in that whole mess of embellishments that she sent me, and I'm super excited to use them in this collection, or in this series. All of this is from what she sent me. And then I have a nice selection of, here's all of this is what she sent me as well. A lot of ephemera, vintagey feeling things. And then I pulled in a bunch of word bits and things that I thought might match either in theme or in color as well. So that is just a really quick overview of what I'm going to be using for the next 6 videos. If you want to see more in depth why I chose things, how I chose things, some tips and tricks for pulling together your own collection to use for multiple layouts, then go ahead and check out that video I posted on Monday, and I am going to get started. Yay! All right, so here we go. I'm going to be starting with this 9x12 of Patrick and I in Asheville. And you could see that I had a companion pocket page that I was kind of referencing at the beginning there. And I decided I wanted to use this pink paper as my background because there are a lot of warm and pinkish tones in this set of photos. So I am just going to start there, and I taped my 2 photos together so I could move them around as a block. Now what I decided I wanted to do with this layout is I wanted to create some circles and have like a fun, bubbly sort of circle effect, both because these 2 layouts are very fun, but also because it kind of emulates the sort of bubbles in a beer kind of a thing, and we were doing brewery hopping in Asheville. So I started with this red paper, and I just used about a 3-inch tin that I had to create those 2 circles as a base. And now I am using a 2-inch, a 1.5 inch, and a 1-inch hole punch to create a bunch more circles. And I'm kind of making things symmetrical and putting them both on the top and the bottom at the same time so that I can create sort of a pattern all the way up and down the layout, so that yes, it is a fun and bubbly and sort of wild paper effect, but it also makes a lot of sense and has a lot of symmetry to make your eye not go too crazy. So I'm using 3 papers from the collection, well 4 if you count the pink paper, and I really loved this floral, but I knew that I had a different layout in mind down the line for it, so I'm only using the extra 3 inches from the 12 by 12 paper to cut out some circles from this floral so that I can have a full 9 by 12 down the line. So now I'm going to stick them all down, and before I started this layout, I did sort of a sketch because I did have the circles in mind. So I did a sketch in Photoshop, but you could do it by hand as well, and I'm sort of following that outline. And it's a great tip if you have like an idea in mind, but you're not quite sure how it's going to materialize. It's better to start with a sketch so that you can sort of play around with it before you start cutting paper. And it makes it a whole lot easier when it comes to cutting the paper down the line, so that you can just sort of breeze through the actual layout making and you've done all of the thinking in advance. And right here I'm just trying to make sure that everything is, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it to be close, I suppose. I want it to be I just wanted to make sure that those big circles especially were the same distance away from the edges and that the photos were the same distance away from the edges. That was basically the only perfectionist tendency that I had for this layout as far as the circles go. So I'm going to finish sticking these down. Make sure that I've got them all stuck down because some of them did not get some tape. I thought about adding some to the top and bottom here, but it gave Patrick a weird hat. So I changed my mind, decided not to do those. So now I have some circles on these travel stickers from Pink Fresh Studio, seeing if any match, but I'm not getting real inspired quite yet with these circles. In fact, at this point I was a little bit, not lost, but I was like, okay, what now? How do I finish off this layout? And obviously that is too large, so I gotta have smaller things to work on. So I'm going to go through these embellishments that I haven't laid out yet. Full disclosure, I started doing these layouts at about 5 a.m. because my poor puppy was sick, so she got me up at 5 a.m. In a not lovely way, so I wasn't fully functioning yet, and I hadn't laid out any of the embellishments or anything like that beforehand, but I do after this video. I go ahead and lay them out so that it's easier to work with. So I'm kind of going through these things. I've already pulled out things that I thought might work. I wanted mostly circles, but I did have a few combinations of horizontal rectangles that would work too, because you know how I am. Whenever I make a grid of anything, I like to quote unquote break the grid. Well, the same thing, I felt the same about these circles too. I wanted a few things that broke the grid of circles. This, on the other hand, I needed it to be more of a circle because the oval just looked weird with the all the circles. So what I did was I trimmed it so that the edge was circular and then just stuck it under the photo so you didn't know that it wasn't a full circle. And I have a lot of embellishments from the stuff that Diane sent me, so I'm kind of incorporating those in. She sent me a lot of cool ephemera, and one of the breweries that we went to had sort of a circus theme, so those little bears on a bicycles I felt matched the circus theme pretty well. I'm gonna round this bear on a bicycle ephemera as well because I wasn't loving the way that that rectangle looked. I like the horizontal rectangles, but the vertical ones were not working for me, whether it be a rectangle or an oval. So I'm kind of looking through these word strips. I felt like there needed to be more black on the page, so I'm trying to find one that works. Also, I put that pom-pom trim on there, and it does not stay on there because it did not work well with these word strips, I felt, and the word strips looked better once I put them up closer to the photo. So in order to do that, I had to take the pom-pom trim off, and unfortunately that's the only time the pom-pom trim makes an appearance in these videos, and it doesn't even last. Very sad. I do love me some fun trim, and this would have been the perfect layout for it, but it just wasn't working how I wanted it to work. So I'm going to move these stickers back up, and I'm liking this a lot better, but I need to do something with this bear. And it's funny how I say the vertical rectangles weren't working for me, but this one for some reason did once I made it a sort of an oval. But whatever. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. And this worked as a vertical sort of oval in a way that the other ones did not. So I'm trying to figure out where to put it that's going to be the most effective. So I move that circle out a little bit and I have to match the other one. Okay, so now I'm going to move these again because we've hit the point of the layout where I just start moving things around over and over and over again. I'm going to create some holes with a little awl, and I'm actually putting some brads through the camera that came in the packaging that Diane sent me. I'm not a big brad person, but I was super excited to use these, and now I feel like I want to use brads on everything. I'm going to add one more because I had 3 altogether. Same concept as an enamel dot, you just have to poke holes. I'm going to add this extra circle to sort of balance out that ephemera on the other side. Love that little ampersand. So I'm trying to find some additional things to add journaling on. So I'm going to add it with these Pink Fresh labels. Just some short journaling about Asheville. There's another rectangle sort of ephemera or sort of sticker that I added. Alright, this is looking good, pretty close to done here. I don't need to add a title because this is going to be a companion page to a page that's going to have cards on it, so titles are unnecessary. But I did want to add some stamping. This is an Ali Edwards stamp, and I wanted it to curve around these circles. So I'm just curving the stamp on my block to sort of match that circle, prepping it with an eraser since I'd never used it before. And I'm going to stamp it right at the bottom of that circle, but first I'm going to test it on the back of this paper that I don't like. And now we're ready to go. So I'm going to put one here and one up at the top, and I'll call this layout good after I add my journaling. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. My handle is @Traci M. Reed. All right, thank you.